Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to look at a deceptively simple narrative that literally has the power to completely reframe how you handle high-stress corporate environments. You know, we live in a world where professional pressure is just constant. Deadlines are always looming, emails are piling up, and unexpected crises always seem to drop on our desks right when we have absolutely zero capacity left to handle them. And we spend so much time trying to manage those external factors, kind of trying to control the uncontrollable, that we often completely ignore the internal mechanics of our own stress. So today, we're looking at a really powerful parable that strips away all that complex corporate jargon about stress management and gets right down to the absolute core of the human emotional response.
So part 1, the monk and the coffee, a question of perspective. Our source material today centers on a highly practical lesson. Now, usually when we think of enlightenment, we think of these abstract philosophical concepts, or deep meditation, or detaching entirely from the material world, right? But what makes this teaching so incredibly relevant to a modern professional is just how fiercely practical it is. So a monk presents his class with a specific scenario. Imagine you're holding a cup of coffee. You're just standing there, totally minding your own business. Suddenly, someone walks past and bumps right into you. The impact jostles your arm, and the coffee spills everywhere. It's on your clothes, it's on the floor, it's a huge mess. The monk then looks at his students and asks them a really straightforward question. Why did you spill this coffee? It almost sounds like a trick question, doesn't it? I mean, it's so straightforward that you immediately feel like you know the answer.
And exactly as you'd expect, the entire class answers in unison. Because somebody bumped into me. It is the most natural, immediate, and predictable response in the world. Of course you spilled it because somebody bumped into you. If they hadn't bumped into you, the coffee would still be safely sitting in the cup. But this right here is the default human condition. When a mess is made, when things go wrong, when something spills, our immediate psychological reflex is to look outward. We point to the external force. Actually, it's more like a reflex, right? We instinctively blame the person who bumped us, or the traffic that made us late, or the client who completely changed their mind at the last minute. Which brings us to part 2, the illusion of the external cause. And here is the unexpected answer.
The monk looks at his very confident students and simply says, no. Take a second with that. He completely rejects their premise. The bump is not the reason the coffee spilled. To the monk, pointing at the person who bumped into you is entirely missing the point of the event. You spilled the coffee because there was coffee in your cup. That is what you were carrying. Had you been carrying tea, well, then you would have spilled tea. It is such a calm, undeniable piece of logic. The bump didn't magically generate the coffee. The collision didn't brew a dark roast and force it out over the brim. The bump merely acted as a catalyst. It did absolutely nothing but reveal what was already inside the vessel. Whatever you are carrying is what will spill out.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental difference between a victim mindset and a mindset of extreme internal ownership. On one hand, believing I was bumped represents the surrender of control. If the bump is the reason you spilled, then you are entirely at the mercy of everyone walking past you. But on the other hand, accepting that my cup is full shows radical accountability. It completely shifts the focus away from the external event, which, let's be honest, you cannot control, to your internal state, which you absolutely can. The external world is chaotic. People will bump into you, but they can only ever spill what you have already chosen to put inside your cup.
Moving on to part 3, workplace shocks, or what happens when life shakes you.
Let's map this directly to our professional reality. Because in your career, you literally cannot build a life insulated from being shaken. The bump isn't a physical jostle. It's a sudden, unreasonable deadline from a manager, or a remarkably harsh email from a client, or maybe a coworker completely dropping the ball on a major project. The spill is your outward reaction. It's the snappy reply you send, the defensive posture you take in the meeting, or that sudden loss of temper. And finally, the coffee is your baseline emotional state. It's the stress, the exhaustion, or the unresolved frustration you walked into the office carrying long before that email even arrived. The harsh email didn't create your anger. It just knocked the cup and let the anger spill out onto your keyboard. So, part 4, what exactly is in your cup? Let's do an emotional audit.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it forces us to challenge ourselves. I want you to think about the last time a really high-pressure situation hit you at work. When that professional bump happened, what spilled out of you? Was it constructive problem solving? Or was it a toxic mess that you later had to go clean up and apologize for? Because if you're walking into your workday carrying heavy, toxic loads, like a deep fear of failure or anger or jealousy over a colleague's recent promotion, then the moment a project goes sideways, that is exactly what will spill over into the room. It'll infect your team. But if you deliberately fill your cup with love, kindness, compassion, and empathy, well, when the system crashes, you respond with patience. You respond to the rude email with professional kindness. The bump is identical. The spill is radically different.
Which brings us to part 5, the morning reflection, taking extreme ownership. So the crucial point is, understanding this theory is great, but applying it is where real professional transformation actually happens. If we know for a fact we're going to be shaken today, and we will, we have to implement a simple morning ritual before even opening our inbox or stepping into the chaos of our day. Step 1, stop and physically pause your momentum. Step 2, close your eyes to just shut out immediate distractions. Step 3, ask yourself what you are carrying today. Run an inventory. Are you carrying leftover resentment from yesterday's meeting? Identify the toxic sludge sitting in your cup, because once you do, you actually have the power to empty it out and consciously choose to fill it with empathy, patience, and resilience instead. Which leaves us with the only question that truly matters as you face down your professional challenges. It's the question you have to answer honestly before the world even has a chance to bump into you. What are you carrying within you today?